Rise up untamed. In the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam, Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Truth forever. True forever.
Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is. What a day, what a day. It is Wednesday. Lots to talk about today. We're going to talk about election fraud. We talked about it yesterday. Talked about it the day before. But I'm bringing this to you from a guy that has no credibility. I think I'm actually enjoying the mockery of the left and the right and all the things that they say. You know, I was writing out this post this morning, and we have a great guest today who, by the way, is in the center of another cover-up in Colorado related to election fraud that he uncovered. Lost his job as a result of it, was willing to give up the same things I was willing to give up. Only the DA was snuggle with daddy in the practice on the outside world and used that relationship to cover up a crime, to help his other cartel friends. Now, we've passed this information up and we've pushed it over to the DOJ. So far, nothing yet, but trust me, I think something's going to happen. Because we have a new attorney, his name is Kurt Olson. I know Kurt Olson, that has been assigned for the next 120 days-ish from now to lead a special investigation into the election fraud across the country and to come up with a solution. But I put this post up and I've been going back and forth, like, do I post it, do I not post it? And somebody said to me today, by the way, it's going to be a short show today. I've got to go meet a few people. Here's what I know. Credibility. Credibility is something that you get over time by being sensible, by being someone that stands up for values. Now, they say stuff like, well, Joe called for violence against his opponents. You know, that's the narrative that they spun. Well, so I put this thing together and said, I've been talking I have a pretty good timeline now. And the CIA is right in the middle of it. Now, I've talked about the CIA. I have no love lost for them. I've talked about the Jewish community, no love lost for them. By the way, the entire country of Israel, the Jews, they're all held hostage. But I want you to know that in this bouncy house world where journalists are, reporting on Hollywood, all of a sudden become fact checkers, and where people can be petty and write a fact check that says true or false, knowing people are not going to read it, only to verify that what was said was actually true. In a world where AI can rewrite history using CIA ops, such as the New York Times and some of these others. But over time, credibility gets established by consistency. Consistency in character, consistency in what you talk about. And you'll notice that when I get on the show, I don't give a shit. I don't care. What do I care about? Why would I care what anybody thinks? I care what God thinks. I care what my wife thinks. I care what my children think. I care about being consistent, but I don't give a shit about the left, and I certainly don't care about some influencers that walk around telling everyone that they are credible. Oh, but you can't talk to Joe, because, we debunked that call with Coomer. What's funny about this is that you wouldn't even be talking about Dominion if it would not been for me. And I didn't pick Coomer out of a hat. Coomer exposed himself. But more importantly, we were able to uncover the fraud related to Dominion, and now it's all coming out. So I'll take back my credibility because it was never yours to take. Now, with that said, let's talk about a few things. I want you to see this. And then I'm going to bring Erik in. He can give us his thoughts on this as well. So Erik Holt, by the way, let me just tell you a little bit about him. He was a fire chief. And I've had him on here before. He was a whistleblower that exposed some election violations. He's an 18-year veteran of federal service, and he came to run a Colorado fire station. In May of 2023, he came forward with a bunch of proof. Video proof. Video proof of things that are election crimes. You know what the left did? They covered it up. They fired him. They didn't just fire him, they fired other people related to him as well in his same firehouse. He's been retaliated against. Every whistleblower out there. We're talking about Kyle Seraphin. We talk about Steve Friend. We talk about Garrett O'Boyle. Those are FBI whistleblowers. You have me that was just standing up for businesses. You have Erik Holt. But Erik Holt has specific information we're going to talk about today. So I'm not going to waste any time. I want to bring him on. Erik, I'm going to go through a few things before we talk to you about what information you were able to get in a core request, but welcome to the show.
Thanks, brother. I'm so excited to come back on here. I appreciate you.
Yeah, two brothers that don't have any credibility. I appreciate that.
Man, can I relate to your monologue there? Let me tell you. Man.
I find it silly. And not disheartening anymore. I'm not, because I don't care. Look, the devil's going to squeal. The devil's going to do what it's going to do. Our job is to hold them accountable, be consistent, and make sure you maintain truth, period. Straightforward. But we got to talk about food stamps because, frankly, we have this food program. We have these SNAP cards. I want families that are in need to have that ability to have access to food. But we never talk about the underlying problems, which we may get to today, may not. But I want you to see this. This is a cut. I'll tell you how much of our food stamps, who it goes to. Play it.
42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps, 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shut down.
Look at this. The yellow color is American citizens. The blue color is illegal immigrants. The orange color is illegal aliens. Look at this. Food. 48% of illegal aliens are receiving SNAP benefits. Are you kidding me? Why are we paying SNAP benefits to illegal aliens? Can someone please explain that?
What do you think of that?
Man, I was just thinking about this when the video was played. Can you imagine the World War II generation thinking that America First was some radical ideology? I mean, that's where we are, right?
But we debate the ridiculous, Eric. We debate the ridiculous. We already know that's ridiculous, and we're afraid to call it ridiculous. We're afraid to punch ridiculous in the mouth. They killed the guy that was great at debate. His name was Charlie Kirk. They killed him, right? So now you get the rest of us, right? You get the rest of us, and frankly, we're not going to be so nice about it. Now, I want to take care of my brothers and sisters that are in the poorest community because that's where I came from. And I'll never forget where I came from. I needed food stamps. I needed food pantries. I needed secondhand clothes. I needed the things that many of these people that need a hand up need. But while we ignore those Americans, and we are ignoring them, we're handing out, walking over bodies to hand out entitlements to people that should never be here to begin with. Look, you want to fix your country, fix it. I'm trying to fix mine. Why are they here, and why are we paying for them?
100%. And that goes to the, we see the National Guard deployments, right? So we can restore order in inner cities that have been Democrat-led for 4 or 5 decades. I mean, there's stats out there that it's harder to recover from a Democrat-ran city than it is a foreign war country, right? It boggles my mind that America First is a radical thought process to the left.
Well,
I don't even know where we got there.
I'm going to show you something else really quick. And I know it had nothing to do with election, but it does. Because it shows you just how institutionally rotted our country is from every aspect. Every aspect. Now, let me show you this. Dominicans and Caribbean immigrants are taking SNAP as remittances. They load up blue barrels with food, they buy with EBT, and ship it back to the island so the relatives can sell them for cash. This is actually happening in our country. They are actually taking food from here, taking our tax dollars, load up the barrels, send it back. By the way, USAID did this for the CIA all over Africa. UN food, grains would come in, big trucks. Nobody's allowed to touch it. You get shot if you touch it. They would drive it right past the people, drop a couple of bags off for a photo op, and the rest would disappear onto the black market. And anyone that has worked overseas knows what I'm saying is true. Any. Only to be sold and creating cash for another corrupt piece of trash tied to USAID, tied to the CIA, so they could fund their operations.
Well, and again, how radicalized was the view that Elon was going to come in and evaluate efficiency and fraud, waste, and abuse in our country? And look how bad they rallied against that.
Well, they rally against it because we're a city or a country under siege by the CIA, by a coup that's been going on for the last 20 years. They've been planning this coup for over 20 years. This just aligns itself with all of the bad actors and bad people globally because they've done this institutional rot across the entire world to try and weaken the constitution of people, weaken their ability to fight back. I want to show you something else, by the way, just to show you how tilted the system is and the fact that we can arrest Chauncey Billups for an investigation that went over 3 years. We can arrest him. Yeah, just arrest Chauncey Billups. Yeah, because you know what? He's betting. He's doing something wrong. He's breaking the law. But if you're a Supreme Court justice and you plead guilty in a high-profile case, here's what happens to you. Play it.
All right.
New Hampshire Supreme Court Justice Anna Barbara Hans-Marconi returning to her seat on the bench on Wednesday with a smile on her face. Just a week after a court found her guilty of trying to influence a criminal case against her husband, New Hampshire Port Authority Director Gino Marconi.
Well, I think it's completely unprecedented. I don't think you could find a case anywhere where a judge engaged in such serious ethical violations and enters a plea to a criminal charge and then 2 days later is back on the bench.
Well, she had to recuse herself from the first several cases.
For the record, Justice Hans-Marconi is disqualified in this case.
Hans-Marconi made it abundantly clear she was ready to be back at work.
Personal risk was the pulmonary embolism.
The charge against the justice stemmed from a private conversation that she had with then Governor Chris Sununu. In a sworn affidavit, Hans Marconi said that Chief Justice Gordon MacDonald had given her permission to meet with Sununu, but in court documents, MacDonald denied that.
It's very clear they did not want to bring witnesses in because they involve so many high-profile public figures. I mean, these are the highest public figures in the state.
This marks the first time in state history that a convicted criminal is sitting on the high court, something one former judge says raises serious concerns.
I mean, the ethical violations are the most severe kinds of ethical violations that a judge can face. It's not only is it unprecedented, it's unconscionable.
That's
There
a
you
real
go,
story?
homie. Supreme Court Justice.
That's real, huh? That's
real.
really happened.
That's
So
real.
she's
I mean,
going to
look-
rule on the integrity of
Look,
things.
this is the entire judiciary. The reason why they don't fight against it is because they're all guilty of it. The fact that she could remain on the bench, it shows you that they think that we are lessers. They think that I had a judge sit there and tell me, Martinez in federal court, you know what he said to me? Stand up when you speak to me. As if I'm a lesser. You have to stand up, which, by the way, you don't have to stand up, but you're going to show respect for the robe. How the hell, Eric, are you going to have respect for the robe when all the robe does is rob, pillage, steal, and defeat the American people? Please tell me.
I don't know how I would handle a judge convicted of a crime impartially putting, if I was in court for something, right? They have to have impartiality and morality. How are you going to instruct that court on a platform of morality?
Eric, they are all rotted to the core. Moses, I'm telling you right now, this judge that was on the Coomer case, who didn't hear an ounce of information, said it was a probable falsity, just came up with it out of nowhere and said, oh, by the way, we're going to throw out the rule of law and we're going to throw out procedure. And yeah, go ahead and have a deposition. And after the deposition, they're like, oh, crap, we don't have anything here. Oh, but Joe won't give up the Antifa kid because, I mean, they basically, I fortified my home. But, I mean, they came to try and kill me. I had personal security detail for 18 months, lived in my house. Right? But I'll give up a kid that has no resources. And now you see the Antifa guys coming out that are saying, yeah, this is what's happening. This is what they do. They actually, you actually have to commit a crime to get into their little group. I mean, there's no difference between this and organized crime. It is organized crime, and the judges are all in on it. They're all in on it.
Yeah. I mean, I can correlate it to, we talked about Judge Wang or Wong or however you pronounce it. I don't want to be disrespectful in pronouncing
it. Judge Wong, and she is often Wong.
Understood.
Wong is often Wong.
I took issue with somebody foreign-born telling me, a citizen of this country, fighting in a federal court on constitutional law, what and she ruled in her opinion was that I don't have First Amendment protections as an American citizen. I took an objection to that before even, knowing anything about that judge
And you had to appeal it.
Yeah, we're sitting waiting at the appellate court now, man.
And there's no consequences for her. None. She found defamation per se on Mike Lindell and ruled without the jury even being able to look at it that I find that there's per se defamation. Before the jury came in, I find for the plaintiff. Here. Violated the entire process. But this is what I talk about. These are rotted, disgusting individuals who put their hands on the scales of justice and treat the American people like slaves. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, so she used sua ponte, right? I mean, how do we even have that in law? That the Bill of Rights gives us the right to a jury.
On yours as well?
No, she did summary judgment on mine, but it sounds like in yours
was on mine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. She went back on a ruling that was already ruled on a 20-year sitting judge that retired. And by the way, sua sponte means, just so everyone understands, she volunteered to Coomer's attorneys that if you want me to look at that previous ruling, I will. In the first status hearing. That's how corrupt they are. That's how corrupt they are.
Yeah, my journey in speaking about this was the Bill of Rights gives me a right to a jury by my peers, right? Why is it being decided by judges before it can ever face other citizens of this country, such as mine? Mine's First Amendment retaliation, but I look at part of my whole platform is learning case law, learning how these things are happening in federal courts where we're being stripped of our rights. And sua sponte is one of those. Like, why does a judge just on their own opinion get to make a ruling and deprive us all of a jury trial? As the system was designed, I don't get it. I don't agree with it. I'm not an attorney. I'm a dumb fireman, fire chief. I'm good at one thing in life, but it just blows my mind that that's an acceptable system. And I think in the Lindell case, what I was reading, she just decided to fine him, or was it you, one of you guys, an egregious amount of money every single day.
$1,000 a day. It was Martinez, because I wouldn't give up the Antifa kid, and I wouldn't give up the person that gave me access to the social posts. And by the way, he's already admitted that the social posts are his, number one. Coomer did. And number two, now all the information's coming out. I have a lawsuit of all lawsuits. I'm going to be able to sue. I was talking to two of my attorneys, and they go, Joe, we are going to have a heyday on suing these people for fraud, defamation. We're going after all of them. Dominion, John Polis, Eric Coomer, his attorneys who had to have known, who lied over and over and over again. We're just collecting the lies that they write inside of their briefs, right? And then I just look at them like, hey, New York Times, yep, you're in. Washington Post, yep, you're in. The Guardian, yep, you're in. Oh, we're going to have fun. We're going to sue them all. Just like, whoosh.
Yeah,
and they committed against me. Because now
I'm glad there's people like you with the means.
Huh?
I'm glad there's people like you with the same sort of demeanor I do and the means to pursue that stuff. For a guy like me, man, remember my livelihood got taken. And so I was literally pursuing court and paying an attorney, living in a camper in my stepdad's backyard with my two kids, right? I mean, it has completely destroyed me financially, but character-wise, I'm stronger than ever, right? Morality-wise, I'm stronger than ever. So some of us, there is a platform where like court is out of our reach financially. They will bankrupt you just for trying.
This is the problem that we face, though. Right now, we face it in real time. In real time, this is what we face. We face an absolute criminal enterprise that parades itself around as something for law and order. And that's why I have so much of a problem. I have a problem. I have a problem with saying that we can't just go in and arrest 50,000 people, including judges and politicians and governors and mayors. Why? Why can't we? Why can't we just create a military? Look, we already know that some of them are going to sing like birds. Some of them won't. But they'll start singing like birds when they get put up there for treason and they get their chest caved in because they get sentenced to death. Then they'll start singing like birds. Like, don't kill me. I'm going to tell you everything. Yeah. But it takes that. It takes the same amount of courage I have to continue to stand against these criminals and against these really, really devious demons. It takes the same amount for them to do the same thing, to stand up against these people and to hold them accountable. I want to show you something, and then I want to get into your case, okay?
All right.
This is Jenna Griswold.
Oh, I just watched this. It's going to make my blood boil again.
So she was on MSNBC, and she had this to say. Let's go ahead and play it.
We have a sitting president trying to undermine democratic norms and attack our institutions on a near daily basis. But I can say with confidence, our elections and our systems have held strong. And as Secretary of State, I've increased their resilience. It is now a felony to access in an unauthorized basis voting equipment. And we've caught someone, Tina Peters, who is now serving 9 years of imprisonment because she tried to mess around with voting equipment in the state of Colorado.
What are you going to do if there are troops on the street at polling places?
It's unfortunate that we have to plan for these scenarios, but as Secretary Benson of Michigan said, we had already planned for these scenarios in 2020. A lot of the worst case scenarios that you can think of, Democratic secretaries of state have been planning contingencies since 2019 in preparation for the 2020 election. Look, Donald Trump and his allies are more sophisticated. Trump tried to steal the election in 2020 through lies. Didn't work. He then incited the insurrection. It didn't work. Him and his MAGA allies have learned from their failures. But we're more sophisticated also. The American people are ready to go. We need the American people to stay in this fight. This isn't Republican versus Democrat. This is folks who believe in rule of law, in democracy, and our election, standing firm against this assault on our nation. I'm staying in this fight. I'll always fight to protect our democracy. That's a large part why I'm running for Attorney General in Colorado, to protect our fundamental freedoms and democracy. 2026 is potentially a juncture in the road, a turning point. But I am optimistic if everybody stays strong and protects with our voices and our votes.
All right, so
This piece of shit. First of all, she's lying out her asshole, right?
Yeah.
She's lying because Tina Peters was not charged with anything related to the election. But people, idiots, useful idiots will listen to this and go, oh, yeah, charged with the crime of felony. No. Influencing a... They did everything they can. Everything that they could. Everything. To throw the book at Tina and to keep all the information related to the election fraud out of the case. That's what Judge Barrett did. That piece of shit judge, that's what he did.
Yeah, first and foremost, free Tina and free her now. Let's start with that. I'm glad Miss Piggy is speaking better now that she's on the campaign trail, but she says the quiet part out loud. She just thinks that she can convince her audience. They were preparing in 2019. We know what they were doing, right? They were sophisticated. We've got Venezuelans coming forward, whistleblowing. We've got all sorts of stuff. And then you convict a Gold Star mom and put her in prison on drummed up fake charges.
Yeah.
And then that is your platform of we have gold standard elections because she imaged the voting machine within her elected job duties. Give me a break, right? That woman, what did I message you yesterday? It's like at the end of a war, man, where we do a hostage exchange. Put her in Tina's place right now for 9 years. And get Tina out. That's my message all day long. That comes before my singing, of what wrong I've been through and everything. Tina needs to get out and get out now.
This is the problem that I have, is that there aren't a lot of people out there. There are not a lot of people out there that have the Constitution to stand up. Yeah, let me tell you something else. So Coomer's attorney said, because I was on my show, and I said that I have to protect myself, so I have to carry a weapon everywhere I go, that I brandished a firearm. That's what they said. Because I showed it on the show. It's like, yeah, I carry one of these. You do realize that I have a right to do that. But these liars, Eric, and you're dealing with it. We're going to get to your stuff now because I think it's super important to get to these details. These liars do nothing but lie with impunity. That's all they do is lie.
Oh.
So I want to go through this because I think it's super important that we do this. We have some details. And wait, why don't I have the documents in here, guys? Eric, did you send over the documents by chance?
Yeah, I sent them to you. Yeah, and the recording and all of it. But yeah, let's get them because they're important for people to see, not just hear. I think.
I thought they were going to grab them from you. Hold on. We're going to quickly, let me grab this. Why don't you talk about what we're actually going to discuss here really quick? Super important.
Yeah. So let me revisit. Last time I was on the show, I talked about uncovering election fraud, and I told that story, which I continue to do on my Justice for Holt, Facebook, TikTok, X, right? I continue to share the video evidence. So I was a fire chief in Colorado. A local election happened in May 2nd, 2023. On my own, sort of initiative. I mean, really, like I had heard complaints. I didn't like what I was hearing. I investigated it on my own. and uncovered a blatant cheating scandal, if you want to call it a scandal. I just call it the law, and it was captured on high definition video with audio on 2 out of 3 cameras. So I pieced it all together, handed it over on a silver platter to the district attorney's office, hundreds and hundreds of time-stamped with the election law statute cited, which violation it was, who did it, at what time, and the timestamp on which video recording it was on, and said, here you go, this is election fraud. And back in 2023, when I was a fire chief, you want to talk about being naive to the game. I will admit that 100%. I thought, well, hell, good job me. I looked into this. I defended the civil process. I defended election integrity. These people will be held accountable, and, that's a win. Joe, I could not have been more wrong. So I lose my job by the very people that are on cameras, with their poll watchers, playing out a scheme that completely guaranteed them a victory and cheated an election within 30 days. In the most embarrassing fashion possible. They brought in a commercial movie theater popcorn machine and lemonade dispensers and fired me in front of my entire department, my entire community. One of those guys is near and dear to my heart. He works with you. He knows you, Patch. I mean, he was my right-hand guy. And he sat right next to me as that happened, man. And they took everything from me, my livelihood as an Iraq war veteran, a single dad of 2 daughters, and a career public servant who had never been in trouble in his entire life. I have one failure to yield ticket on my entire record, my entire life. I've been a model citizen. I've served my communities, and they took it all. And so when they fired me, I thought, well, the DA is still looking into this. They have an open criminal investigation. The courts will handle this. And then suddenly, within a month of being fired, when I don't have a job, when I don't have an income to support my 2 daughters who I have full custody of, I get a call from the DA's office that says, we're dropping this criminal investigation as a no file. And a no file is, we're not filing any charges whatsoever. And of course, I asked some questions and was just kind of treated like I was scum. And basically got hung up on. And I was just left to go, oh my God, what the hell do I do now? So I have a federal lawsuit going, and I'm like, all right, well, that's my last chance here. And for 2 years, we litigate. And not one piece of evidence ever matters in that 2 years, because it was file my complaint, survive their first motion to dismiss, do a deposition, and then they're granted summary judgment. And the ruling from Judge Wong, whatever, was that because I was the fire chief, because I was a public official, my investigating of election fraud and cooperating with a criminal investigation amounted to no First Amendment protections, because in her interpretation, that's what I was paid to do. Let me remind everybody, my job was to be a fire chief, to lead firefighters, to respond to emergencies, to have command and control over emergencies. Not to be an investigator, not to administer an election, not to investigate an election, none of it. And so, faced with losing for 2 years straight, I decided, and let me back up just slightly. My attorney, who I paid like 150 grand, was like, I don't agree with her ruling, we should appeal it. I'm like, yeah, man, I think we should too. At this time, I'm living in a camper with my 2 daughters in my stepdad's backyard because I was so, blacklisted I couldn't find a job. He goes, well, you got to give me 50 grand up front. And I'm like, I don't have 2 nickels to rub together, man. I need some help here. And so basically I'm on my own and decide I'm not giving up the fight. And so I file an appeal on my own, pro se. I continue down that path, and I just study case law, and I learn what I got to learn, and I file a brief. And, luckily, shows like yours brought me on and helped me share my story. And so that has now created where Mountain State's legal foundation is representing me in the 10th Circuit. Through contacts you connected me with, which I'll always be grateful for. I got to meet with them, tell them my story. They got to review my briefs, and they said, you did a good job. Like, we'll go do oral arguments when it comes. So that's a huge relief. But in that process, Joe, is what we're here to talk about. I discovered something that I just couldn't believe. When I'm reading, thousands of pages of case law, and I'm going through all the documents from my court records that my attorneys had handled, and stuff that I got through open records requests, and I just start going through it. And in this process, I guess, when you just read a ton, things just register in your brain, and you just aren't actively looking at it. But I'm dead asleep one night, and I shoot up out of a solid sleep, and I'm like, there's no way. Can this be connected? And so what those two pieces of information was the guy that dismissed the case as a no-file. His name's Andrew Vaughn. He was the chief deputy district attorney in El Paso County, Colorado. So the 4th Judicial District.
Put it up, guys. Put up the deal.
You got it all there?
There you go.
So this, okay, we went a little ahead. So he signs his name as a no-file. That's the guy on the left, chief deputy district attorney. The guy on the right is defense counsel's principal attorney. So these people fire me. I file a federal lawsuit. In turn, they turn around and hire a law firm. That's the guy on the right, who happens to be the father of the guy on the left who had the authority and used that authority within the same week his dad becomes defense counsel to make it go away. A no-file of this. Caught, again, on high-definition cameras, man. Go to my socials, my Facebook, TikTok, and X. Those videos are up for people to see. There's no question about was there criminal element there and were crimes committed. So since then, I uncovered that. I sent that to a PI. So what you just showed is the PI's report. And it came back of like the probability is 98 to 99%. This is father and son. So I write an open letter to Michael Allen, the DA down in Colorado Springs, and I say, yeah, I don't know if you've got that open letter. It's on my X account.
Yeah, we have it.
But,
let's put it up.
Okay.
Let's put it up too. Put it up. Let me just tell you which one that is, guys, so you understand. That's one that says records request. It's the one where it says Patrick sent an email. Rate.
So that comes after. But
hold on. This is the email that you sent to El Paso as a records request, right? That's what you're talking about?
No, I had wrote an open letter to Michael Allen where I put it on Twitter or X or whatever you call it. I tagged all the news, and I tagged Michael Allen's DA, and I said,
okay,
respectfully.
That's on your X. Go to Erik's X, if you would, please, guys.
It's on the top because I just reshared them this morning to be ready. So they are up on my...
With regards to your previous post, correct?
Yeah. Yep, there should be one that's just like a Word doc. Scroll down to the images for me.
There we go.
So go the other one, the one below, that post below it. This is the open letter right there, that first image. So I write this, I send it to the DA's office, I post it on X because I don't care anymore. I'm ready for this to all be out there. But I respectfully request that they re-examine this and send it to a special prosecutor, because the people I'm suing for committing election fraud and retaliating against me hired this guy's dad. Within the same week, he makes this criminal investigation go away. And I get a response. I get a response from the DA that says, 45 days later, basically, I get a thing that says, we'll look at it again. And I go, okay, cool. I appreciate that. My expectation is that you understand that this only went away because of a conflict of interest and an impropriety. and that you guys will rectify it and go make some arrests. These people committed election fraud.
They committed crimes. Now, these are crimes, by the way, that anyone that saw these would say those are crimes.
Yeah. I mean, again, the videos are posted, right? I've done these. I've shown this stuff so much. There's no question about it.
Do you have confidence in the judiciary?
How could I right now?
They're captured, right? You have Judge Wong that says you have no First Amendment right. And you got a DA that basically is hiding improprieties directly related to his father. So I want to read this, Eric. Can I read this really quick?
Absolutely.
I want to read your open letter because people on the audio version are not going to be able to see this. They'll be able to hear it, although I do recommend that you actually go watch it. District Attorney Michael Allen, I'm writing to respectfully request that your office refer for independent review and, if warranted, reopen the criminal investigation involving officials from the Fluorescent Fire Protection District, which your office previously closed. This request is based on the emergence of serious conflict of interest involving your former Chief Deputy District Attorney, Andrew Vaughn. On direct information and belief, there appears to be the existence of a severe impropriety, as former Chief Deputy District Attorney Andrew Vaughn exercises authority to dismiss a criminal investigation, Supplement 18, on August 1st, 2023, as a no-file, concurrent with what appears to be his father, Mr. Gordon Vaughn's law firm, Vaughn and DeMura Law Firm, entering as defense counsel presenting the Fluorescent Fire Protection District and its agents. As documented, Mr. Vaughn formally entered the case as defense counsel or around the same time as your office dismissed the criminal investigation. His son, the Chief Deputy District Attorney, had direct supervisory and decision-making authority regarding the dismissal. This familial relationship presents a clear conflict of interest under Rule 1.7 of the Colorado Rules of Professional Conduct and the Standard of Prosecutorial Ethics Policy, which mandate recusal where the fairness or objectivity of the persecution is compromised or even appears to be compromised. This conflict of interest was not publicly disclosed, nor was it addressed transparently. During the investigation's closure, as a result, the dismissal of the criminal investigation lacks the integrity and impartiality that the public and whistleblowers are entitled to expect from your office. I personally reported to former investigator David Guest on June 1st, 2023, Supplement 11, 23 DA 097, retaliation be carried out by the Fluorescent Fire Protection District Board of Directors, directly for my cooperation with the criminal investigation by your office. A report that was dismissed and never further investigated, resulting in extreme hardship, both personally and professionally. This was then further exacerbated by the conflict of interest and impropriety carried out by a former chief, Deputy District Attorney Andrew Vaughn's actions in dismissing the criminal investigation the very week that Vaughn and DeMuro began representing the Fluorescent Fire Protection District. Denial of due process and whistleblower protection as the individual originally came forward with information regarding misconduct with the Fluorescent Fire Department District. I believe I have been denied the due process protections afforded to whistleblowers. The conflict of interest within your office effectively shielded the subjects of the investigation from accountability. While I experienced significant retaliation, including termination, reputational harm, and financial loss, the failure to provide a neutral and independent review of those allegations contributed directly to this harm. Accordingly, I respectfully request that your office formally recuse itself from any further handling of this matter and refer the case for independent review to a special prosecutor under CRS 21107. This step is necessary not only to protect the integrity of the justice system, but also to restore public trust in the independence of prosecutorial decision-making, especially in cases involving public officials and whistleblowers. I'm prepared to provide a full chronological events, supporting documents, and public records help for your review. I appreciate your attention to this matter and your commitment to maintain the public's confidence in your office. All right. Tell me what the response was for me. They reached out and said, we're going to have somebody look at it, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I will say I commend myself. That seemed pretty respectful, despite the anger that I have.
Yeah.
I thought the appropriate step would be like any other thing where there's a conflict of interest, right? So if there's a police shooting, they do not investigate internally because of a conflict of interest. I thought the appropriate request would be to have a special prosecutor re-examine. Michael Allen followed me on my X, and I very quickly messaged him and said, thanks for following me. Let's chat, I will say that it has gotten more contentious as it's gone along because I was just sort of piddled down the road of like somebody will contact you in a few weeks and then it wouldn't come, right? In the meantime, I went ahead and submitted a records request to the DA's office. And that request was any communications between chief district attorney or deputy district attorney. He's the number 2 in command when all this happened. Here it is. Thank you. And the law firm. I want all emails between this time and that time, right? And it takes them over a month to get that back to me. I finally get scheduled for a phone call, to which I said, I better record this. Colorado is a one-party state. I did not need to ask for any permission to record a phone call. So I did. And the gentleman that called me, I will say, had no manners. Let's say it politely. He was very, very abrasive with me. And basically, the summation of that call was, I'm whining about something that they don't think exists. They've looked at it. They don't see any criminal and improprieties there.
It was pretty obvious, by the way. The criminal improprieties were obvious.
Yeah, you have people clicking counters in front of election judges and like opening ballots, poll watchers, right? Like this is what frustrated me with this phone call. I can read statutes the same as a first grader can read statutes. They are black and white in text. You can pull them up and read them. There's nothing hidden behind that veil. And so if the election law says you are not allowed to tabulate votes, and I can see somebody clicking clickers throughout the day, and I have a video of them clicking these clickers in front of election judges as they read ballots, that's a crime, plain and simple. But if I put the whole scheme together and hundreds and hundreds of election violations happen within a 12-hour period of time in a calculated manner, in unison with each other, that's criminal conspiracy. That's election fraud, okay? And so he basically tells me, it may be my opinion, but it's not his. And gets very rude with me that, what do you have that I don't have? I said, I've given it to you. I'm trying to cooperate with you. I will guide you through the footage to the exact crimes. You just have to ask me. I said, I also reported witness retaliation and I reported bank fraud. It's in your supplement 11, that never got investigated. And the only reason it didn't get investigated is because it suddenly ended on August 1st, 2023, when Andrew Vaughn made it go away. And basically, I've been left with that. And so I was denied apparently the special prosecutor thing, and basically left the phone call that at some point down the road, they'll call me and tell me they found nothing. It's very, very
But you
plain
already
and clear
gave
to
them
see.
everything. So you're seeing the crime committed. You have clear footage of the crime being committed. You have supplements to the crime being committed secondarily by the board of directors, people on it, to cover up the crime. And they're contributing to this cartel behavior, correct?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so we have the audio version of this.
Play it. It's 20 minutes.
It is 20 minutes long. And so I'm gonna do this. Before we actually play it, we'll play it at the very end, right? So that you guys can see it, and we'll just have a little thing that says we're playing this deal.
Oh, actually, I forgot one detail, Joe.
Yeah, go ahead.
So after the phone call, I knew I had heard this name before. I saw this name, right? So I go back to the emails. And what do I find? But Gordon Vaughn inviting this gentleman and Michael Allen to a party.
What? Wait, hold on, what?
I remember I got the open records request with all the emails, right? So anything that went through Andrew Vaughn from Vaughn and DeMuro, and in there contains the gentleman that is now the chief deputy district attorney, and Michael Allen, and it's the law firm saying, hey, we want to invite you guys to this party for Gordon Vaughn, who's principal attorney at the law firm I'm litigating against. Look, man, I've thrown parties in my time. I don't invite random people I don't know, right? That's a friendship thing. And again, would be a conflict of interest. He represents the people that did criminal activities and committed election fraud. So not only is that relationship there, but he's not letting this get out of his office. So somebody who has an impartial look can look at it. Now in Castle Rock, they just convicted a lady that filled out a ballot for her dead husband, and she's facing up to 3 years in prison.
Right.
So why can't I get an outside party to look at hundreds of election frauds or violations that was a criminal conspiracy and get one single charge? I want your listeners to go Justice for Holt and watch the videos. There is no frickin' question. There's none whatsoever.
All right.
I don't know what I'm just stonewalled at this point, man, and I'm pissed.
Let's put up the email that shows the Gordon's retirement party, March 7th, 2024. Can we grab that? It says, "Hi, Andrew. We're working to the invitation list for Gordon's party. He would like to invite Tony Gioia. His email address, tonygioia@da4colorado.gov. Also,
That's the guy on the phone.
Huh?
That's the guy on the phone call that is now looking into the conflict of interest.
Yeah. So I want to point this out. So Tony Gioia is the same person that called you and said there's nothing to see here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. And Michael Allen is the DA. He's the elected DA, who sadly is a Republican, right?
He's not. None of these people are Republican. None of these people, they're cartel members, right? They're pieces
that's
of
the
shit.
point.
They're
That's the
pieces
point
of
I want to
shit.
make.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a facade. If you're not part of the GOP and election integrity is not your number one issue right now, then I just don't believe in you. I don't believe in you anymore. And you have a DA with a golden platter to stand up and be the hero here in a state where Tina Peters rots in prison and just won't do it. Refuses.
All right. So the call that I have, is that with Amanda Sutton or no?
No, she's not on the call. It's just me and Tony Goya.
Hold on. Let me make sure No, guys, that's Tony Goya.
Security footage and committed that never came from the attorney to make that determination.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. So we're gonna. I want to show you something else, by the way, to show you just how rotted our judiciary is in the state. Look, if you believe in the rule of law, then you cannot believe that our country is not captured and that our judiciary at the state level, especially Colorado, is rotted nearly to the core. There's a QTAM case that is currently pending by the AUSA, Assistant U.S. Attorney, that involves improprieties and bribes in excess of $15 million, almost $20 million. That involves the governor, the current Attorney General, the Secretary of State, legislators, and attorneys in probably one of the biggest cases. Now, with that said, I want to show you this. This is B3, Article B3. Put this up. This is and this is just so you can understand that it is so deep. It is as deep as you can get. So former Colorado Supreme Court Chief Justice censured over judicial branch misconduct. So let me just tell you, there's only one person that's written about this in all the years that, so Chase wrote about it, but this doesn't get to the details of it. And I want to show you how they all work together. But this particular person, former Justice Nathan Coates, he retired from the Supreme Court in 2020 because of this, okay? Was censured for paying out a nearly $2.5 million consulting contract in exchange for her silence about a wide range of sexual harassment and workplace misconduct complaints. I'm telling you, like, sexual misconduct inside of let's just call it orgies. Inside of the judges' chambers. Okay?
I guess that's one way to get a favorable verdict, right? Jeez.
This is the judges in Colorado. This judge committed a criminal act. Anyone else, you, me, anyone else, would face a minimum of 10 years in prison. This piece of shit that literally did everything he could to stand in the way of justice, along with other Supreme Court justices that knew about the behavior and accepted it, and other judges that knew about the behavior and accepted it. paid a $2.5 million bribe to keep someone hush-hush about multiple complaints involving sexual misconduct by judges in Denver. And then that pervert, Polis, then takes that information and says, I'm going to hire these new judges. One that marched in an Antifa rally, another one that puts he, him on the door and is a crazy, radical, leftist ideologue who's now, by the way, representing the Coomer case. He's just radical.
Oh, really?
Radical. Who basically, I don't know how long he's going to be there because we have him dead to rights on some ethical complaints. I think personally we're going to push for it pretty quickly because I have them dead to rights. I have them dead to rights. But regardless, this is what you're up against, Eric, in the state of Colorado. Federal court.
Yeah, it's been evident. And like I told you the last time I was on, this is not a party affiliation. I expect that the GOP it's their top priority, 100%, right? Because
should be.
We know the woke aren't going to stand against this, but man, I've gone through the local DA, local law enforcement. Before I came on, I forwarded you an email from the state attorney general's office. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but this was months back. I filed an election complaint at the state level, citing all of the conflict of interest, whatever. And I get a reply back weeks later, maybe months later, to a different guy that they just happened to CC me in, right? Like that's how serious Colorado takes it. I've reached out to the FBI field office. I have done every avenue that I can.
And you reached out to the FBI field office
in Denver. Yeah,
and
I wrote a letter. They never called me back. I wrote a letter to Cash Patel in Washington D.C. along with Pam Bondi. I got a form letter back saying, "Hey, this isn't our jurisdiction. That's the FBI field office in Denver." I used that letter to call Denver and say, "I received this letter and now I'm reporting it to you. Okay, so and so will get back to you whenever." And I've never gotten a call back. Right? What does it take? The only place that I can go is public media, man. And I have everything. I have 40 hours of election fraud column video. I've recorded phone calls. I have every document that you could ever need to prove how deep this goes.
I'm going to put you in touch with, and we're going to get you on several other shows. Okay, Eric, we're going to make sure that the FBI gets this information because I'm going to package it up. I want you to put it into a binder. I want you to package it up, and I'm going to take it to DC. Okay, and you can come with me, and we will turn this over. I will send this information up to Alex Jones. I will send it to Tucker Carlson. I will send it to everyone. We'll kind of put it all together, right? About how just deeply rotted and corrupt the state of Colorado is. And yeah, do I get pretty upset about this? Yeah. You know why I get upset about Eric specifically? I just want everybody to understand this. Eric and I just met a couple months ago. He reached out to me. He said, I got this case. I didn't know how severe it was. Eric, in fairness, I probably get 200 of those a month. Right?
Oh, I bet, yeah.
So I was like, send me some information. And I saw it and I was like, are you serious? And I listened to your video. As soon as I listened to the video, I was like, this guy's he's being railroaded. This happens all over the country. You wanna know why people hate the police and they hate the DA and they hate the system? Because the system is bullshit. Let's call it what it is. And until the system starts doing what the system is designed to do, and stop acting like a cartel, stop acting like a cabal, stop acting like the lawless center it is, where we put criminals on the street and ignore people that are doing real harm to the American people, people are going to continue to get more and more upset. And when they get to that point where it breaks, it'll be tiki torches and pitchforks. And if you think that I'm kidding, if you think that people aren't almost there, they are. They absolutely are. So.
Well, Joe, I appreciate you. And I think you're right, man, because the support I get from people of like, man, I was just a fire chief trying to be a fire chief and raise 2 daughters. I never was involved in any of this stuff beforehand. I did what everybody would agree is the moral thing to do and lost everything for it. And at every turn, every governmental aid entity that is supposed to protect citizens, I've exposed corruption. And so, I love that you're having the GOP candidates come on for governor. I will tell them flat out, you're never going to win unless you have election, because you got to reach to the other half of the voters in Colorado that says we're independent, but this is a top issue. So if I know you had Scott Bottoms on there, I think he's a great dude. I think Victor Marx is a great dude. If either of them are going to have a chance,
you gotta get rid of machines and
step up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
you know, I was petitioning you to announce your candidacy, and I respect your decision, but it's got to be number one issue.
I gotta look. The thing that scares people the most about me, because I'm not credible, by the way, Eric. If you're wondering, I'm not credible, because the talking heads on the right, who have never accomplished a damn thing in their life, have said I'm not credible. I mean, I got 2 beautiful kids, a beautiful wife, beautiful business, done great, lived my life almost like a Boy Scout for the last 18 years. Now, before that, I was a little bit of a playboy, but I still wasn't doing anything illegal. I still wasn't doing anything. Okay, immoral might have been. You know, I was a
I think
playboy.
we all do that. Yeah.
I was hanging out with the. I wasn't doing what I called the before Jesus moment, right? But I was always a great father, right? And I was a great businessman. I always stood up for the underdog because I knew what it meant to be in that position. So, but you know, I see this from the perspective as I sit here and talk to you. I see that from the perspective of this is a fundamental. It's fundamental. I mean, we have Wong dead to rights. She's completely Wong. Wong is Wong, and right is right. But Wong is very Wong. Judge Wong, you are Wong. You are so Wong. But she went against the Constitution because, frankly, she has nothing but a disdain for it. She's a communist. And she's a nice communist, though. I sat in front of her. She's actually a nice communist. I actually think that in her mind, she wants to do good, right? And she struggles with it because to be in that position, you can't necessarily do good.
Yeah, she may be nice, man, but I'll never accept the fact that you can serve as a judge that protects the Constitution if you're not a natural born citizen. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for that.
I agree. I agree 1,000% with you. All right, we're going to play this 21.5-minute clip. I put it back in the thing. We're going to play it again. Before we do, because I got to go, Eric, I'm going to pray for you, brother. I'm going to pray for you. And look, you did not give up everything. I just let me say this as clear as day to you. I gave up a lot. You gave up a lot, but you did not give up everything. You have beautiful kids. You have your health. You have the opportunity to do crazy things. Man, that might be Ubering. It might be a lot of things. You might have to give up things of the flesh. That might be temporarily. You might have to give up those things, but you will never regret doing the right thing in front of your children, because they will know and they will see that you stood up for all the right things at the right time, when it was the most unpopular thing to do, where you could have just put your head down and said, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want to have money. And you chose to stand up for the American people. So you did not lose everything. I want to be very clear. You did not lose everything, right? God is watching you. He is literally sitting over you, and he is saying, well done, my faithful servant. You are doing the work that you need to do. And so I will just leave that with you.
Thank you, brother. This nation was built by great men, and if I can just live in their shadows, that is the ultimate victory.
They may never say our name. They may never say your name. They're definitely not going to say my name, except for not credible.
I don't need recognition. I just I want to pass this country on to my kids, and I want them to be great citizens that will do the same thing, right? So you let me know. Let's go to D.C., brother. I'll put it all together. We'll go.
Put it all together, get it done within the next 2 weeks. We'll be in D.C. I will literally walk right in. We'll go to Lauren Boebert's office first. We'll drop it there. We'll go see Pam Bondi. I'll sit in a chair at the White House until President Trump gives us a visit, right?
Sit there. I'll buy a plane ticket today. Let's go. I'm in.
All right, so let's pray for you. Father God, we sit here and we are so grateful. We are so grateful for the work that you've done, and I know that I've used some harsh words today, so I apologize for that. I look at the things that we face collectively together, and it leads me to a place where it's daunting at times. But yet, Father, I just keep coming back to the fact that you have this, and this is your path, and our job is to make sure we stay faithful, we stay on the path, we do the right thing, and we honor you in that process. So, Father, I ask you to put your hands, your arms around Erik and his children. I ask you to protect his family. I ask you to lift the burden. I ask you to bless him financially, to bring an attorney into his midst that can help him right this wrong. More importantly, Father, I just ask that you open up the gates of opportunity so that we can put this in the hands of people that can do right by the crimes that were committed, that they can hold people accountable for the bad behavior. And this is just another one of those straws on the back that can break down some of this evil cabal that's been taking over our country. Father, I ask you to bless the people that are listening, that they may not be hopeless, that they may stand on the idea that we are going to restore you, restore restore you to our communities, our country, make it the ethos, the true north of how we operate as a nation and as a world, if that be your will. But we know, Father, that we must listen and learn, honor you, and do the right thing, and to act in a voice of righteousness. So, Father, I just ask you to give us the strength to stand together, set aside petty differences, open ears, open eyes, and give us the ability to do the right thing, to help our children and grandchildren, even generations we'll never know. We ask these things, Father, humbly in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
All right, my brother. We will see you later. 21 minutes. We're going to play it after the 21 minutes. I think that either Patrick will make a cameo or Austin will make a cameo and be like, hello, we're ending. But I want you to hear this 21 minutes. And this is the guy that, by the way, was invited to the party while they dismissed the case. So they got a special investigator, all right. They got one that is deeply involved in the cartel and the cabal in El Paso County. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Mr. Holt.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So I'm here. Tony Joya, our Deputy District Attorney, is here.
Okay.
Mr. Holt, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you, sir? Nice to meet
Doing
you.
well. So I wanted to make sure that I had all the information you thought I should consider when I'm reviewing this case. I've already reviewed a number of reports authored by investigator guests. I've spoken with Investigator Carlos here regarding his taking over the case. I've reviewed a number of surveillance clips, as well as I think there was an Excel spreadsheet that was put together that listed potential areas of violations. I think I've received a number of documents relative to a civil case that was filed. And I really just kind of wanted to get your perspective. So I made sure that I had all the information when I'm making this decision.
Okay. Yeah, so I have, I guess, what you have. So that's sort of where we're at. I'm sure you understand that the elections happened May 2nd, 2023. I investigated them on my own by obtaining the security footage, reviewed it, documented what I found, and kind of handed that on a silver platter to investigators Kramer and Guest. So what is in that Excel spreadsheet you can see is, and I actually think Amanda Sutton gave that to Guest. I
think that's right.
Yeah. But what you see is hundreds of election violations that take place. And then basically, like when I met with Kramer originally, and in the supplement, I think it's supplement 1, he documents like there's a clear picture of what took place, like this is election fraud. To which I, in 5-10 minutes, I could show you in the clips exactly the scheme that took place. They were counting ballots in coordination between the 5 candidates that were declared the winners and their poll watchers. They're counting ballots on track counters. You can see that in high definition video. They are counting ballots as they read the names and confirming those totals. And then there's a conversation where you can hear the lady coordinating with somebody off-site while receiving voters and telling them who to vote for. So it's a very clear picture on high definition video of election fraud and criminal conspiracy. Fast forward, 33 days after I meet with Kramer, these people retaliate against me, which I report. I also reported that they committed bank fraud. And it goes from basically, Kramer in shock and awe, and guest both saying, like, this is completely brazen, and we're shocked by it, to my termination in retaliation, which we can go into that further. Bank fraud being committed that never got investigated. And then suddenly the investigation being canceled, or I guess the legal term would be no filed and ended. So never being able to explain that, I investigated the investigators, quote unquote, right? And it turns out that Andy Vaughn is the son of the defense counsel that was hired, and he ends this criminal investigation the very week his father becomes lead defense counsel. No conflict of interest was ever declared. Why Andy Vaughn had the authority to do that, I understand his position, but clearly there was a conflict there. Is the only explanation of why something that was caught on high definition video wasn't prosecuted. I mean, and to get into the world here, we have a conservative DA that's elected in a state that is fighting against election corruption. Yesterday, Castle Rock DAs prosecuted somebody that filled out a ballot for a dead husband. Why would the El Paso County DA's office not prosecute something caught on high definition camera? Why wouldn't they investigate bank fraud, witness retaliation? Why did that never happen? And I have the supplement, so I can go through. There was one thing actually investigated, which is Jordan Moon, one of the poll watchers, telling his girlfriend who to vote for. Not the egregious stuff of filming voters that you can see on the footage, not the conversations. There was no subpoena for phone records when you can hear the lady coordinating and receiving voters. And the only explanation is that Andy Vaughn abused his authority.
Okay.
Okay. 2.5 years, I'm still fighting for accountability and justice, and I have lost everything for cooperating with your office. I lost my career. I'm a single dad of two girls that had to move across the country to find a new job, and all I did was cooperate with what your investigators. I wasn't even the one that reported. That came from the attorney that administered the election. So all I did was cooperate. You guys have done nothing to protect me in that, and I lost everything. And I have no answers as to why, when it's on video, and it again, I can in 10 minutes show you the entire scheme that unfolds, and it's there. It's an open and shut. You arrest these people, you take them, you show the jury, and they're charged. Why the hell hasn't that happened, man?
Yeah. So I'm going to review the information again. I want to make sure that I'm looking at it through a clean lens. The reality of the situation is that you may believe there are violations. It may not fit the legal definitions that exist. So those are the things that I'm going to look at. The main purpose of this conversation, I want to make sure that I had all the information that I would need to make a complete determination on the facts of the case. And it sounds like, at least from what you're telling me, is that I do have all the information that would be necessary in order to properly evaluate the case. Is that correct?
Yeah, you have an Excel spreadsheet that says who committed what violation of law as in Title 32 on a spreadsheet that did all the work for you guys. Is it illegal to cheat elections? Yes. Is electioneering illegal? Yes. I mean, is bank fraud illegal? Yes. Is witness retaliation illegal? Yes. Not one charge has ever come from this, and your supplements show that one moment in time is all that was investigated.
Well, and I just want to be clear on this. You're talking about that one interview of Jordan Moon. According to you, all the evidence we would need is on the videos, correct?
Yes.
Okay, we have all the videos. So is there something else that you're thinking I'm not having? Because it sounds to me like you're saying this wasn't investigated properly, but you're telling me also that we've got everything we need to make that determination.
Yeah, it is my opinion, and opinion only, that the investigation started, and they started with the one that you can actually hear the names being told, which is one of the violations out of hundreds, And then suddenly, Vaughn and DeMuro gets hired to be defense counsel for these folks, and the investigation falls off a cliff. There's literally video, security footage, of the lady recording on her laptop. The laptop's illegal, the cell phone's illegal, counting ballots is illegal, disseminating ballot counts is illegal. And they act in concert with each other. You can hear them have a conversation under one of the cameras where they detailed what the actual counts were, what they had to stay under of total voters to guarantee a win, how they had been tabulating in the ballot counting room, and communicating those out. That is all day long a criminal conspiracy. That is all day long election fraud. I want these people held accountable. I've lost everything for cooperating with your office.
Okay. Well, I will evaluate the evidence again and again. We're going to make a decision based upon what the evidence is, what the law says, and what we would be actually able to prove based on that. So we may end up disagreeing on that, but I will make sure that I'm reviewing that information in order to make a determination.
Okay, so how do I talk to whoever's going to look at that and point to exactly? I know that footage very intimately. I want to see justice and accountability of it, and it kind of sounds like you're already disagreeing with what is on there.
All I'm saying is that your interpretation of that may not actually coincide with what the law says. So I'm going to be the one that's reviewing, and I have reviewed the surveillance clips. I've reviewed the PowerPoint, or not the PowerPoint, the Excel spreadsheet that's in there that details those violations. I'm going to look back through it again to see if there's anything that I'm missing.
So what is your opinion as it stands right now with what you've reviewed?
And again, I want to make sure that I'm looking through it for a fresh eyes, but I'm not seeing that we have a viable criminal violation that we can prosecute. But again, I'm going to look back through this and make sure that that's where we're at on this.
Okay, so let's go back to two other things. I reported to your investigator, I think it was Guest, that bank fraud was taking place. Nobody has ever gotten the information or sought to investigate that. And I reported witness retaliation for cooperating with you guys. Nobody has ever investigated that, gotten any additional information. The only thing is Supplement 11, where it states that I went, I contacted them and said, these guys are retaliating against me for cooperating with you. So that's never been investigated.
Okay. So when I asked you before if there was anything else you'd like us to consider, and you tell me no, now it seems like there is something else you'd like us to consider.
Well, again, it's like they're in the investigation document, and I know you guys are limited staffed. I'm trying to help you guys piece that together, but kind of what I get is this. One, I'll be completely transparent with you. Like, I asked in my open letter that kind of got this ball rolling again, that a special prosecutor, because of the potential of, like, you guys obviously had a relationship with Andrew Vaughn. He worked there. He was a colleague of yours. I don't think that's inappropriate that he is a colleague. But also it puts fear in somebody that has, again, lost everything for simply cooperating with an investigation. Whether we're going to get to the point of justice on this, which is what your office does, is there a barrier there? Everything is contained, but I don't think anybody's looked at this properly. Quite simply, I reported to Guest. I could pull up the supplement. He says it, that I report bank fraud happening. Nothing from that supplement on ever looks into that. I report that these people are harming me for cooperating. It's documented in the supplement that I called and reported it. Nothing ever takes place beyond that. And again, I can look at other cases in the state. Like yesterday, literally, there's an article that this lady filled out a ballot and submitted it. That's one violation, and she's being prosecuted. There's hundreds of them documented. And it's not an interpretation. It's literally the statute says no cell phones or recording devices. Boom, recording devices. No electioneering. Boom, there's electioneering. No tabulating of ballot counts. Hundreds of those exist. It's not a, where's the interpretation of that? It's the law says this, they did it. It's on video. Prosecute that.
Okay. Well, I will take a look at the information again, and as I indicated, if there's a case to prosecute, we'll prosecute it. If there's not, then we don't have a means of recourse in that regard.
Okay, so how do what do you want from me next? How do I go about getting the other things that I reported investigated as well?
So again, Mr. Holt, I think I've asked you multiple times what other information you would like us to consider, and you say it's all there. So please tell me now, what other information do you think we need?
Well, I think... Okay. So
because you can't just say there's bank fraud, there's retaliation, and then expect that that's something.
Okay.
All right?
So you want specifics.
Obvious.
Okay. Well, I don't want this to be an adversarial tone, sir. I'm trying to advocate for myself and what...
Well, I know that, but and I'm trying to give you that opportunity. I've asked you, as I indicated, 3 different times now, what additional information you would like us to consider in making this determination. And you've repeatedly told me we have everything necessary to make a decision. If that is not true, please let me know so we can get the information that you think we ought to consider.
Okay. So that's going to take a little bit more time on this conversation, but I'm willing to do that. So May 25th, 2023, so 23 days after the election took place, Paul Del Toro, who was not on the bank, made a decision to go to the bank, illegally freeze the bank accounts. He has a public statement that was on the news that says he illegally froze the bank accounts. That's, that is fraud, of course. Like, you're not I can't go to your bank account, right, and say, hey, I'm Tony's conservator or something like that, freeze his bank accounts, but that happened, which had ramifications. That's documented. There is email traffic between him and a third party of why they were doing that to hold some sort of power. But then the witness retaliation stuff came, like, they took my livelihood away, and they did that because I was cooperating with you guys. They wanted to get rid of me so they could access the security footage. There's a May 15th, 2023 email. The day that their election was certified, the first order of business was an email sent to me, which I don't know if you have or not because nobody's ever looked into this. Where is the username, login, and location of the security system? Now, it's not documented, but I called David Guest, and I said, this is what they're asking me to do. He said, we're investigating this criminally. Please don't let them delete it. So I didn't. But that's evidence, too. They're retaliating against me. Back to the election stuff. Why weren't phone records subpoenaed when you have a lady on the phone recorded on audio saying, are these the people? What vehicle are they driving? Which is evidence that somebody is coordinating voter turnout, which is illegal. She's receiving them, tells them the names, they go in and vote. That's electioneering within the election perimeter. There's a host of things, but I'm not the criminal investigator. I'm the witness that presented all this stuff. So if you guys are reviewing something, you have a question, why aren't you guys working to paint this picture for you based on what's there, not my opinion, point you to the right direction, and prosecute something that undermines, the civil process here.
Okay.
There's a host of other things. But again, like, my interactions with your office was provide this stuff. You can't sit with Kramer for 48 hours and review, and I don't expect that you can sit there as the, one or two in your office, positionally to sit there and watch 48 hours. So I did that stuff for you guys. So I'm probably the only person that's watched the whole of it. I'm probably the only person that could say, yeah, do you want to see a clip of them counting ballots with track counters as voters are checking in with them? Do you want to see the clip of them in the ballot counting room where they're visibly and audibly, you can hear the clicks tabulating? I feel like it's been this like adversarial thing since I came forward, where it's not trying to find the information, but trying to prove like that it doesn't fit somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will, like I said, I'll review again. I've watched a decent amount of the clips, certainly the ones that have been identified in the spreadsheet. I'll take a look at that, and I'll take a look at the statutes and make a decision in the case, okay?
Okay. Will I get to, have a call or whatever after you do that and tell me where you're at with things?
I think we'll notify you as far as whether or not there are charges that are ended up filing.
Okay. And what's the expected timeline for something like that?
I don't know, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Holt, is there anything else I can answer for you?
Well, I just want to make it clear my expectation is that the DA will prosecute crimes. And so, I have to stand on that to advocate for myself and that I reported witness retaliation, and I expect that be investigated and prosecuted if it's found to be. Bank fraud, I expect that be looked into and investigated and charges filed if it fits how you said it. And then the election fraud, I don't think there's any question about it if you actually dig into it. So my expectation would be that we prosecute those people and defend our civil process of elections. I think it's, especially in the state of Colorado, something that needs to happen.
Okay, well, I appreciate your opinions, and we will take a look at the case, okay?
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Bye. That was Investigator Goya, or I'm sorry, Chief Deputy District Attorney Goya.
Wow. Erik Holt, true patriot, standing the line, fighting the good fight, basically all on his own for a really long time. It's just absolutely astonishing what's going on, but not really. If you're actually in the middle of these things, you're not surprised. If you're hearing about this for the first time, you may be like, what the hell is happening? But it is so true. It is so true. Just this dude just doing his job, getting fired for reporting what was asked to be reported and then being fired for it. And then they're saying, yeah, you should have done this, party official dude. Bam, you're still fired. Like, it's absolutely insane what goes on. And then he brings suit and he can't move the needle. That shows you how complicit the courts are in all of this that is going on out here in Colorado. It is absolutely insane. They protect their own. They protect their own. But before, I want to get more back into this, but before we do, we're coming up to the end of the month. And if you've been with us for a little bit, you know what that means. We have to do some Rumble reads. So I'm sitting in for Joe because Joe had a engagement he had to get to. So hopefully Rumble will accept this. I think this will work. So what we're doing today is we're promoting Rumble Premium and Perplexity. Looking for smarter ways to browse and enjoy your favorite content without ads? Get the Perplexity Pro bundle with Rumble Premium for just $19.99 a month. when you sign up before December 31st, normally a $29.99 value. With Rumble Premium, you'll get an ad-free viewing experience across all your devices and access to exclusive premium content, no interruptions, just the videos and streams you love anytime, anywhere. Plus, Perplexity Pro boosts your productivity with unlimited research, unlimited uploads, exclusive member perks, and access to the latest and most advanced AI models for faster, smarter answers every day. Save over 30% on this powerful bundle. Head to rumble.com/premium before December 31st to sign up and unlock your premium experience. Woo. All right. Thanks, guys, for that. And hey, check it out. I haven't touched it. That's the first time I've heard about it, but we're promoting it here. So we need to do it because we are content creators on Rumble. Thank you for bearing with me during that time. I think that was my first or second one I've done. It's an interesting thing reading something like that. But yeah, back to just how corrupt the courts act to protect their own, right? Like the courts move to protect their own. The case we heard about earlier in the show, the New Hampshire Supreme Court justice that was guilty, she pled guilty. She pled guilty to ethics charges as a judge. And then she was on the bench a week later. Like what? Judges are appointed and they're supposed to have legal knowledge, duh. But there's also supposed to be an ethical and moral responsibility that comes along with that type of position of power. And all I keep seeing is time and time again, a specific side of judges keeps doing whatever the hell they want to do, and they get away with it. I just don't understand how it's acceptable to talk to the governor about getting charges dropped on your husband, and you're a judge. See, this is the problem when there is no judicial accountability. There is none. There is none. The system is completely flawed, and the problem is it's been taken over from the inside. You know, like the Long March is a real thing. When I first heard about, like, I'm new to the game. Okay, I'm probably 8 or 9 years in of being kind of awake to how the game has been played, how the system works. I learn stuff every day. What just fascinates me is just how when I first heard about there was this long march through the institutions, I'm like, these people are crazy. What do you mean long march through the institutions? What? That's not a thing. No, it really is. It really certainly is. You take over the courts, take over local government, take over the school systems. It's a long march, and you just take over these places, and you supplant your people with their ideas, and they just roughshod over it. They just roughshod over it and just keep on. American citizen bringing election fraud evidence clear as day to the table. No good here. No good here. Right? The guy lost his house. The guy lost his job. Like what? But that's what the left does. They win at all costs. They don't care who they step on. They don't care who they run over. They don't care whose families they put in harm's way or danger. Because they play to win. We talked about this last week. They play to win the game. They don't care. They'll make people lose their jobs. And then if you try and fight them in court, they know 99% of Americans can't stick it out unless you get lucky. You know, I got lucky in my case. You know, like Erik recently just got law firm, not a law firm, but a, I'm trying to think of the correct terminology here, a nonprofit to help take him up the chain because it is expensive, like 125,000, 130,000. That guy's in debt for. I'm sorry, Austin. Advocacy group. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Advocacy group. Yeah, you can't fight them. Like I'm fighting my battle, but I have a nonprofit that signed me. Thank God, America First Legal, and they're fighting for my case. You know, and Erik and I never met the dude. He's out here in Colorado. I'm out here in Colorado. The same exact thing is going on to me. So I completely empathize and understand what this guy is going through. It is disgusting. It is demoralizing. It is heartbreaking. It wrecks your life. It wrecks your family's life because you're miserable and defeated every day. And the left love it, and they keep doing it to more and more people. Courts out here, courts throughout this country are corrupted to the core with these left-wing judicial activists on the bench instead of actual moral, legal-bound judges. You know, like that's the truth. That's the truth. You know, what do they argue about against Republican-appointed justices, right? What do they argue about? They're conservatives. They're conservatives. What's the problem with that when it comes to law? If something's written or not written, right? It's either here or not. It's not about emotion. It's not about, well, if this case scenario, well, if this one person over here felt this way, therefore that. No. It's either written in law or not, because that's what law is. Law is very, very concise. It's written. It is cut and dry. Then you have activist judges, activist lawyers that muddy the waters, get in charge, hijack the court system, and here we are. Here we are. Erik Holt, out of a job, suffering. Me, out of a job, suffering, fighting. Same case. I got the same thing. First Amendment, work retaliation. Same case. Same thing out here in Colorado. Judge Scott T. Valhalic. Magistrate Judge Valhalic. He's also presiding over, I still believe he still hasn't ruled on the Tina Peters. I have not heard an update out of that court yet about the Tina Peters ruling. If the chat's with me, I see you. Oh, thank you guys for calling out my hoodie. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jeff. Hey, you do give compliments too. I respect that. Thank you, sir. But yeah, like same thing. Scott T. Valhalic ruled in my case that I can get fired for being a proud American. Cherry Creek School District can fire me for saying that in equity training when asked about how I identify. We went up the chain. We appealed to his direct supervisor, Judge Rodriguez, federal Judge Rodriguez. First generation of her family. She's a daughter of 2 immigrants. First generation. She got my case on appeal. She goes, denied. Yeah, no. Oh, and by the way, it is a matter of fact that you need to acknowledge the systemic racism of this country and what people of color go through. You actually have to acknowledge that also as a matter of fact in the case. Okay, that is what these federal judges doing. This is what a first generation federal judge said. Okay? She is telling me, no, you have no standing here. The school district can fire you for that. Back of the line. Free speech? No. No. Denied. Not allowed here. The hypocrisy. A first generation born American citizen from parents of migrants, parents of immigrants, is upholding this. That is trash. That is complete garbage on the bench. Judge Rodriguez should be ashamed of herself. Complete and utter garbage. But she does what the left does. They do anything to protect the shield. Because what she's doing doesn't matter. It's not right or wrong. That's not how they make their decisions. They don't care what's right or wrong. This is what they do. Political point. Shut down that white guy saying that America is the greatest country and he got fired for saying that. Yeah, I'll shut that down. That's probably worth a couple points here. Right? Building their repertoire, building their points so that when the pendulum swings back and we get another auto pen in the office or something worse, you know what you get then? You get someone like this getting put up top. You get Kenyatta Jackson on steroids. Can you imagine what that Supreme Court would look like when you get like 3 or 4 more others of that up there? Like, whoa. Like, can you imagine? Can you imagine what that's going to look like? Woo. Like, the courts are one of the biggest, I'm sorry, like everything's a big problem in this country, right? Like, where do we go? Everything's a big problem in this country. Politicians corrupted, foreign influence, the left dominate the streets, the left dominate the media, the courts are rotten to the core. You can't move the needle in the courts. Anything the president tries to do, the courts say, no, can't do this. You know how many times Trump has to go through the Supreme Court? Like, I want to know how many times he actually has to go to the Supreme Court to try and get his stuff done because of the activist judicial trash that is beneath him. Okay, here's another fact. I have a mediation that myself and Cherry Creek are supposed to be a part of coming up in December. The district courts out here in Colorado, the appeal court out here in Colorado has ordered us to do so. I wonder why. The federal court wouldn't let me in. The low-level courts wouldn't let us in. The appeal court is saying, you guys need to go to mediation. You want to know why? Because they are overloaded at the top, at the appeals level, because the judicial garbage beneath them is doing what it does, trampling on people's civil rights, telling people you can't have a case, unfairly making rulings that don't even have basis in law, but in emotion and irrationality. They make rulings on that legally. So of course everything has to get appealed up. Of course the appeal courts are going to be overrun. Of course the appeal courts are going to be like, yo, this is crazy. What are we doing? Can anyone put 2 and 2 together? Can anyone see what is happening? You have incompetent judges. You have judges that do anything to protect an idea instead of enforce the rule of law in this country. That is why our country is going the way it is. Politicians play a part in it, sure, but you know what? There's a checks and balance system, and the courts are not being checked. The only way the courts get checked is when they go up the chain to the Supreme Court. That's the only way. There's no impeachment process going on for judges. Like, once again, the New Hampshire case, that judge pled guilty to ethics violation. Why is not the state legislature in New Hampshire moving for judicial impeachment of her? I could guess. I wonder what her political party is, or who appointed her. And who controls the state legislature in New Hampshire? Scratch my back, I scratch yours. Poof! You can get away with it. I'm ready to get back to work. I'm ready to get back to work. No checks and balances. Just constantly running roughshod over the American citizen. You know, Jeff liked my hoodie. I appreciate that, Jeff. I did get this a couple weeks ago. I love it too. It symbolizes so much. It really does. This is what it's all about. And we're losing this day by day. How many Eriks have it happened to that didn't fight back? That have lost their livelihoods because they've done the right thing for whistleblowing, for being a whistleblower, for bringing concerns forward, just doing their job. For every one of Erik, how many hundreds fall by the wayside, that we never hear their stories, or they just pack up shop and move on because they don't have the means to fight anything. And they're like, I got to feed my family, so I got to keep it moving and just get another job, figure out something else. Not my fight to fight, right? There is just so much to unpack when someone gets called to the carpet, the way Eric has, the way I have, the way Joe has, right? The people that I know, how you get called to the carpet, right? And then everyone has to make that decision. Am I standing, or am I going, or am I standing? Right? And I think God chooses the people. People have a part to play in everyday life, but there are other people have bigger parts to play, I feel. God chooses the right people to carry out his missions. He knows Eric is a man of principle. He knows he's a tough guy. He knows he's not backing down. God knows he needs Eric as the vessel to get this message out there, to get this court case heard. Right? God never gives people more than they can handle. That saying, once again, 10 years ago, didn't completely understand that saying, kind of didn't even agree with that saying. As I sit here in 2025, yep, that checks. That is 100% a true saying. Just like the saying is, it is what it is. Sometimes it is what it is, but this doesn't have to be it is what it is still. This is still our country. We still got to keep fighting. This is what it's all about here, the freedom, okay? It's about the younger generations coming up. I got a 3-year-old son that I refuse to grow up in a communist socialist society. I refuse to have him live like that. He doesn't need to live like that. He doesn't deserve to live like that. All those kids out there don't deserve to live like that. Kids deserve to go to school, to learn, to read, to write, to do math, to become friends with one another, not to be divided into different ethnic buckets, right? So like, we all got to fight. We got to find our place in the fight, and we got to fight. There's no other answer to it. There's no other answer to it. Otherwise, they just keep coming, and they're going to keep coming. We either stand in their way and fight and push them back, pop them in the face, beat them, or that we let them stampede us. It's one or the other. I don't know what it's like to run. I don't know what it's like to run. I refuse to run. You know, I believe God, there was a lot of coincidences that occurred in my situation that I will love to share with you guys when the time's right. There are things I cannot speak about, but I would love to share them with you as I get down this road in my case against Cherry Creek. But it cemented the belief in God for me these past almost 2 years come March already. There were just too many things that fell into place, too many things that occurred for me not to believe that God is using me to do something now. And I'm not trying to preach like I'm holier than thou. I'm like, no. I am not that person. Like anyone that knows me knows I'm not that person. But I believe that he does some divine intervention from time to time when it's needed. And we talk about the puppeteers, right? The puppeteers behind the curtain. We got the master puppeteer above. I believe he's still in our corner. So we gotta just do our part. We gotta call out the corruption when we see it. We gotta let people know about the stories that are out there. Like you viewers today. I recognize a lot of names in those chats. You're constants here. You know more stuff than I do, right? Like I know you know way more stuff than I do. I can tell by how all you'll interact in that chat. But I want you to go out there and share Eric's story. Put it on social media, right? Tag people up in it. Tag Joe Rogan. Tag Tucker Carlson. You know, gain some traction. See if someone picks it up. Because pressure has to come from us. The media is not going to do it. Media's not going to do a damn thing. You know, Eric, I'm sure he got, how many sit downs did he get on local TV out here in Colorado? I can guarantee you 0. I can guarantee you 0. I got a federal lawsuit against Cherry Creek. How many media outlets out here called me for an interview? 0. Because the media is corrupt too. Independent media is where the most accurate information in the world is at. Because independent media gives the honest account. Whether you like it or not, it gives the honest account. This is what it is. Make the judgment. Right? Like no left-leaning news network, communist news network station is going to pick up Eric's story. But why isn't the local media out here? Why isn't local Fox 31 picking that up, right? Like, why aren't they picking these stories up and blasting it all over the place? Other things are more important. Well, you know, Snap ends what, Friday, Saturday? Might have some interesting news come Monday. I don't know. I think I might go to the supermarket maybe Thursday or Friday, though, before the weekend comes, just, you know, get a little something extra. But, you know, once again, you can't live in fear. You can't let these lunatics let us live in fear. Oh, I'm going to go rob Walmart. I'm going to go hit up the jerk off in the parking lot because he actually worked for his money and I'm going to go rob him, right? You can't live scared. Right? So if you are going shopping, make sure you are ready to roll. Make sure you are paying attention, especially if the SNAP program is ending, because people will snap. People will 100% snap when that check don't come in. We all played the videos here. You've seen the videos here, right? I'm sure you've seen some on your local feed as well. So just stay alert. Stay alert when you're out there. Once again, if you got your concealed carry, make sure you carry it with you. Don't do anything illegal. Make sure everything you do is legal. But you do have a right to protect yourself. So always make sure you are aware and vigilant when you're outside. Okay? Thanks for staying with me on this rant. That was a lot of fun. That was kind of therapeutic. It felt good. I hope I brought some laughs, some information to you. Give you guys a little more better insight where I'm coming from. But we do have one more Rumble read I'm going to hit you with. It's from Techni Sport Gaming Chairs. So if you're looking for a comfortable but unique option for your gaming setup, check out technisportusa.com. technisportusa.com. With a wide range of ergonomic chairs in an array of colors, and will definitely bring your setup to the next level. Always comfy, never boring. Techni Sport. Use code RUMBLE for 10% off entire order. Thank you guys for sticking with me through 2 Rumble reads today. Thank you for sticking with me for a 20-minute rant. Thank you for always coming back to Untamed Nation. We appreciate you. Joe appreciates you. We love seeing you here every day, 2 o'clock sharp Mountain Time. Well, you're at 2 o'clock sharp. We're kind of close. We're kind of close sometimes, right? Let me pray us out, all right? Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for another beautiful day. Thank you for us having time to spend here today, and I could talk to good people through the screen. Thank you, Lord, for our friends and family that are close to us every day, and even the ones that are still distant. Thank you for having them in our lives. Please, Lord, continue to guide us and give us patience as we navigate these treacherous times ahead. Please move to keep everyone safe coming up to Halloween weekend as well as November 1st. Please, Lord, continue to watch over all of us and guide our political leaders to make good, moral decisions in the best interest of the American people. Please, Lord, give us grace and remind us to carry love in our hearts everywhere we go. Thank you, Lord, for another great day. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. All right, everyone. See you tomorrow. Well, not me. I'm behind scenes. Joe, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fight where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Truth forever. True forever.